All right, good morning, everybody.
Oh, hi.
Good morning.
So, yes, the quiz is almost due right now, and the whole thing about, trying to practice to do this practice quiz for the students, just to be aware how to submit the work. Okay, so that is very important because we cannot avoid, especially for virtual classes, we cannot avoid that. In test number one, what I'm gonna do, we're gonna do it on Zoom. So I don't want people to run into those problems in test number one. So when we do the Zoom session, and when it is done, when you're done, you're gonna scan your paper or you're gonna take pictures. If you know how to submit that, some of you did submit like very successfully, right? So I go there, I can see the files, et cetera, et cetera. But some of you not. So you see, when somebody in a classroom, so when people, let's say like, 70 people, 80% are able to do something. So it means like, if you do practice what you did and you go over the steps, there's no reason that you couldn't do the same, okay? So, but unfortunately, when I posted the practice quiz, a lot of you, the big, more than the half of you, only few people did the practice quiz. Only few of you did that. So, and that is not, so is not what I expected, especially technology stuff, uh, so now you can have classes where everything is with Brightspace, everything, from A to Z. You have to submit on Brightspace, you have to do that on Brightspace, except it's just something we cannot avoid nowadays. Okay. All right. For the test one, when you do the Zoom meeting on the test, we do the Zoom. When somebody is done, you take your cell phone or your device, you scan or you take pictures, and then if you don't know how to submit it, then you can send it to me. It's going to be more work for me. It's going to be more work for me, to tell the truth, because if you send it to me, then I have to do the whole saving stuff, etc., etc. But I will take it. Okay, if you send me the pictures, I will take it. You send me that, I will take it. Okay, that rather than waiting.
I
Okay,
have a question.
yes, go ahead.
I'm would it's like would we have to come to your office? Because I don't know if it's something on my computer, but I never could find like I did the test and
Yes.
I couldn't find an option to upload it. Like I was at the place, like I clicked on the test, I clicked on the link, I have it there, I did my questions, and then I'm
Yes.
looking and I'm like, where is the option? Like I'm not
Now,
completely computer ignorant, and I said I could. There was not a place for me
yeah,
to
yeah.
pick.
I mean, I
I have
understand. I understand you. I understand you, and that was the point. The whole point. If some of you are familiar with Blackboard,
Yeah.
Blackboard, when you have a quiz or a test, there is a submission where you can add your file on Blackboard.
Mhm.
But for Brightspace, if you have an external file, from what I know, right, on Brightspace, there is no option to upload that file in the test. That is why I created an assignment, an outside assignment, which is called, submit. That is not in the quiz. You have to exit the quiz. You go to the assignments and you go to submit your quiz one here.
Okay.
And
Assignment.
there now, when you do submit your quiz one here, there you have an option, add a file. Okay.
Okay.
See, that was the whole reason why I did the practice quiz. That was the only reason for everybody to see that because the actual quiz comes. That was the only reason, by the way.
I have
So,
a follow-up question about that.
yeah, go ahead.
So I understand what you were saying, and I realized that it was different on the two parts, but
Yes.
on the one where it doesn't give you the chance to upload anything, it still says that you have to submit something in the box. So what should we put in that box?
Yeah, that
Just
is
like
a
I
good,
submitted it
no,
under assignment.
that is a very good question. But you see here, Since we don't have that option on Brightspace to add a file, you just exit Brightspace after you're done. I will be able to know what time you started, right? And then you go to the assignment, you submit your file. You just exit, you just click on exit, you don't submit nothing in there.
Submitted under the assignment and
Yeah,
not
so Brightspace will tell me your quiz is incomplete because you didn't submit. Okay, but I know all what I want to see is what time did you start the quiz? That's it. You see, and Brightspace, they need to do more effort on that part. I think they will do that. It's a new thing. You see, it's a newer thing than Blackboard. But for the quizzes, yeah, for the quizzes, we don't have the choice but to do that for the quizzes, right? But for the test, it's going to be easier. I will be on Zoom, right? Everybody going to work. When you're done, you tell me, I'm ready to take my pictures. You take your pictures, stuff like that. And then if the submission doesn't work, you send them to me.
I found it on my phone.
Yeah, okay.
I found it. I'm so sorry. I was stressing out about it. I think I probably got the math problems wrong because I was so stressed out about uploading it that I couldn't even think.
Yeah, I mean, this is a quiz number 1. You see, it was expected somehow, because believe it or not, even us, we struggle with sometimes with the technology. Sometimes you have to ask questions around you, etc., etc. So this happens, This was a quiz number 1. But for the test number 1, I think I will be here. And then if your submission doesn't work, you just send them to me. See, so all right. So that was a quiz number 1. As you can see, the quiz was not hard at all, right? I think it's like a few questions. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and continue on the rational expressions. Remember last time we started to simplify them. Okay, so we're going to do that, more of that, simplifying rational expressions. Okay, it's going to be a lot about factoring. Okay, so basically, if you don't like factoring, we're still stuck with it. Okay, we have to do a lot of factoring. I don't like factoring, but I still have to do it, you see. So that is reducing rational expressions. All right. Okay. We can start with always, some examples that we don't see as hard, right? Because they will help us understand, more the math. For instance, this one right here, you see, it is not an example that we consider are very, very hard or something like that, but we still have to do the work. And if you remember last time we said, before you scratch out anything, you factor, right? If applicable, okay? For instance here, sometimes it could be very tempting, sometimes it could be very tempting to see, okay, two numbers on the top, one number, two numbers on the top and the bottom, maybe they look alike, okay, why not just, cross them out? No, it doesn't work like that, you see? So we have to go ahead and do the factoring if necessary, right? The 20, we understand 20 is 20. There is nothing to do, right? But look at the bottom. Can we factor out something at the bottom?
The 2 and the 4?
Yes. Can you factor out at the bottom, which means go ahead and try to do the factoring first. So it's 20 over, and then you factor the bottom. So what is a GCF? We can factor at the bottom.
2.
2, right? You see, by the way, about factoring, we don't focus so much on factoring the harder cases, and then we focus the easy cases. And that happens a lot, We focus so much on you know, trying to do the AC method, we do it very well, or we do that very well, different of squares. And then if we are given something way, way easier, and then we forget about it, you know. So like here, so this is 2 is a GCF, it's 2 like this. So we divide by 2, so we get 2p plus 1. You see? Now, can we now simplify now? Can you reduce? We can reduce by somebody tells me we can reduce by how much? Can somebody tell me what we can reduce here? 20 over 2 parentheses 2p plus 1. We can reduce that fraction by what?
2.
By 2. Thank you very much, right? You see, 2 here is the only thing we can reduce the fraction by. Not 4, not anything else. It's just only 2, because the only factor that comes out from the denominator is only 2. No other, you know, we have only 2 factors on the denominators, 2 and 2p plus 1, right? Obviously, 2p plus 1 is not a common factor, but 2 is. So this one divided by 2 is 10, right? And this one divided by 2 is 1. So what you have left is 10 over 2p plus 1. You see, now here, is somebody tempted to simplify by something? When you look at this, are you tempted to do something to simplify by some number?
I mean, I know you can't, but to go to the 10 5 times, but you can't because it's 2p, not.
Exactly. You see, exactly. This is you know, this is what I'm referring to here. We might be tempted to do, okay, I have 10 at the top, I have 2 at the bottom. Why not simplify by 2 again? But the 2 at the bottom is not a factor. It's not like a global factor, it's just 2p. You see? So this is your final answer. Okay? Don't do something like, don't do this. You know, don't do this here. Don't do 5 over p plus 1. That is wrong. Okay? That is your final answer right here. Okay. So simplification, we don't push too much. You know, when we have to know when to stop. Okay, we have to know when to stop, basically. All right. So let's try to see if you have some other stuff right here. Okay, so yeah, catchy. So we're gonna do this 38, 27. All right, go ahead. Everybody try that. Try to simplify this. Again, you know, if you feel like you are stuck, still in math is very important, right? In math is very, very important, right? If you get stuck, still try to avoid to do something which is completely wrong, because then it doesn't give you any more chance, right? So here, if I forgot what to do, I still try to avoid something like crossing out the x's, you see? It doesn't make sense. I see x over there at the top. I see 2 x's at the bottom. Okay, let me scratch them out. No, you know, it doesn't work like that, you see? So what you have to do, you have to try to factor if you can, right? Try to factor if it is factorable, all right? If it is not factorable, you leave it alone. But it is factorable, try to factor the numerator try to factor the denominator if they are factorable, right? Okay, go ahead. I'll let you like a couple of seconds. All right.
Are they supposed to be factorable?
Maybe not the numerator, right? Maybe not the numerator, but the denominator, I think is. That's a good question.
I don't know how to do it.
You see, so okay, this is, look, Natalie, this is exactly what happens in math, right? So what happens in math is when we do a certain topic, so we do it so much, that time we know how to do everything, right? But then when you go past it, right, then it's like we unfocus on it and then we forget. And that happens a lot in math. But I am sure you know how to do it because very likely you did it like more than 20 times. Basically, you're going to look for two numbers, right, that add up to 8 and multiply to 7. You see? I know you can get the two numbers. They multiply to 7, they add up to 8. What are they?
3.5 and 2. I don't
You know, 3.5 plus 2. You see, first of all, the numbers we're looking for, they don't have to be decimal, right? Just regular numbers. You see, when you get 7, what numbers do multiply to 7? Do you have a lot of couples?
1.
Oh,
You don't have
7
a
and
lot.
1. 7 and 1. Oh my gosh. Come
7 and 1, right?
Why didn't I do that?
Yeah, 7 and 1.
It's okay. It's early.
So I thought class was at 10:10 today too, so I came in way too early and I ended up trying to get a hold of Professor Hall and I
Yeah,
said,
okay, so you know, that, I mean like 1 hour before.
not my day.
Let's make, yeah, so the x plus 1 over, now the two numbers are 1 and 7, right? You get x plus 7, x plus 1. Okay, now do we see something exactly the same at the top and at the bottom? Do we see something which is exactly the same?
X plus 1.
X
Yeah.
plus 1, right? You see, now we can cross out x plus 1 here, x plus 1 here, right? Okay, so after we cross out x plus 1, what remains at the top?
A 1.
1, exactly. We don't say 0. You see, 0 never comes from simplification. When you simplify something, 0 never comes out from that, okay? If everything is gone, you have 1 left, right? It's 1 over x plus 7. See? So this is what I was saying about factoring. If you know how to factor, this example becomes like a very, very easy example if you know how to factor. Now, if you forget how to factor, this example becomes very hard, right? There's no in between, okay? So, but that is why chapter 1 is crucial for chapter 2, okay? And today, everything we're gonna do today will be about factoring, almost. So if I give you another one, Malvat, you know, more than another one, so All right, so everybody try to do this one, n squared plus 4n minus 12. Again, a lot of factoring involved, right? So you see, try to do this too. Again, it's gonna be a lot of factoring. Factor the top, factor the bottom, see if something is the same. If something is the same, you cross it out. All right. Okay, can somebody tell me what answer they got from the first one?
N plus 6 over n minus 5.
N plus 6 over n minus 5. It sounds right. Okay, so let's check that together. So how we factor the first one?
Let's see. N plus 6 and n minus 2.
Thank you. So let's stop 1 second for everybody to see. Here we looked for the two numbers that add up to 4 and multiply to negative 12, right? And those two numbers are, you know, if you keep looking, right, we're gonna get them 6 and negative 2. Thank you very much. And how did you factor the bottom?
And then we had n minus 2 and n minus 5.
N minus 2 and n minus 5. Thank you very much, Rishi. Again, same thing. We look for the two numbers that multiply to 10 and that add up to -7. You know, obviously it's going to involve 2 and 5, and they both have to be positive. I mean, negative, right? You see now, do we see something we can cross out now? The n-2s, right? I see n-2, n-2. I cross them out, I get n+6 over n-5, okay? So can I do one last thing to get like the full credit? Okay, that was a catch. That is, no, that is that. If you do this, you get the full. If you do one more thing, you don't get the full credit anymore. That is the final answer right there. You see, that is the final answer right here. All right. We don't simplify the ends. We don't cross out the ends. You know, that is it. Okay. Can somebody else tell me what they did for the next one?
You can factor the numerator to b plus 6 and b plus 8.
Thank you very much. B plus 6, B plus 8. See, same logic. Two numbers that add up to 14 multiplied to 48. You see, 6 and 8 come to my mind. You see, and the bottom one.
The bottom one would be b plus 7 and b plus 8.
B plus 7 and B plus 8. You see, thank you. Same logic, same thing. I see B plus 8. They look alike. I cross them out, and I get B plus 6 over B plus 7, and that's going to be my final answer.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What if they were the same on the top and the bottom? What if it was b plus 6 over b plus 6? Would that be 1 or 0?
Exactly. That would be 1.
1.
Okay. If there was, you know, b plus 6 over b plus 6, that would be 1. Right? All right. So you see, so these questions, you know, this is about factoring, and we use same case of factoring. It's not the only case, right? So always in that regard, we're gonna do something that's gonna involve our friend of AC method. You see, this one, unfortunately, this one will be, the factoring will be a little bit longer, right? But it's still factoring, okay? It's still factoring. So it might be a little bit longer, but it's still factoring. Look at the numerator, right? So look at the numerator and the denominator, right? What comes to your mind if you want to factor them out? What methods come to your mind?
AC method and grouping.
The AC method and group, right? Okay. But if you concentrate on you see the denominator, no doubt. The denominator, we have to do the AC method. There's no other way around it, okay? But look at the numerator. Do we have something else we can do before the AC method?
GCF.
GCF. This will make it a little bit easier. So the numerator, do the GCF first to avoid the AC method, right? Okay, but the denominator, we have no choice but to do the AC method. The denominator, you have no choice, okay? Okay, go ahead. I let you, like, you know, some good, like, you know, minutes. Try to do that, everybody. You know, I know everybody is trying, right? You know, you have to try to do that, okay? Because comes the test, it's going to be the same thing, okay? It's going to be, you're going to see the same expressions, you know, and you're going to try to factor them, etc., etc. So now, who's going to walk with me over the steps for the first one? 2x squared minus 10x plus 8. What did you do? I said the GCF.
Greatest common factor.
Yes, which is what?
You pull out the 2.
Thank you. 2. And then how much you have inside the parentheses?
Yeah, x squared minus 5x plus 4.
Thank you. See? And then this parentheses becomes easier to factor, right? Because
Right.
x squared has 1 in front of it, right? So what are the two numbers? What are your two numbers you're looking for?
X minus 4, x minus 1.
X minus 4, x minus 1. And we don't forget, of course, the 2 in front, right?
Right.
So we get 2 parentheses x minus 4, x minus 1. Okay, somebody else, can you walk with us over the steps you did with the AC method? 3x squared, you see, minus 7x plus 4. And you said, go ahead, can you walk with us?
I multiplied 3 times 4.
Uh-huh.
And
You
then to get the -7, I did, the two numbers were -3 and -4.
Thank you. So you get 3x squared minus what?
Minus 3x.
Uh-huh. Minus
4x.
Yep, plus
4.
And then you did the grouping, right?
Yeah.
The first two, what is the GCF out of the first two?
It'll be 3x.
3x, exactly. Parentheses, what?
X minus 1.
X minus 1. Thank you very much. And then how much did you factor here?
-4.
Exactly. You see, we don't factor only 4. We factor -4, right? Parentheses, x what?
-1.
Minus 1 again. So we get x minus 1, parentheses, 3x minus 4, right?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So we have over x minus 1, parentheses, 3x minus 4. So now what can we cross out now?
The x minus 1.
X minus 1s, right? So we get 2 parentheses x minus 4 over 3x minus 4. And that is our answer. All right. So if somebody says, do you have to distribute the 2? We don't have to, you see. We could, but we don't have to. Okay. All right. You see, this is like a repeat of the first week. It's like a repeat of factoring, right? Factoring, factoring, factoring. It's going to be like that for all of them. Okay. So, and if you have this right here, number 32, I mean, this one right here, and then another one. All right, I'm going to give you like some good, like, 6, 7, 8 minutes for everybody. Want go over these, please. All right. Okay, the first one. You see, again, we don't rush. When we do this right here, we don't rush, okay? We do not rush. Even if some of them look alike, you know, too much, we don't rush. So I would like somebody else, you know, if you, you know, if you can, you know, tell us what you did, you know. I don't want to have like, you know, only it does help you, you know, to try, okay? If you have an answer, it does help you to try to see, you know, to do the step, to repeat the step with us, okay? It does help for, you know, for the understanding. Somebody who, you know, who haven't talked yet? No volunteer? Okay, all right. So I'm gonna go with, you know, okay, so then Peggy, Annette, Noel, you know,
I have an answer.
Natalie,
I got stumped with the top one.
the top one? The top one, 32x squared over 28x squared plus 28x. The 32x squared, you know, we just leave it like this for now, right?
Okay.
Okay. You just leave it like that for now, 32x squared. But now, okay, tell me what you did to the bottom now.
Well, that's just, I pulled out the 28x and then
28x, right?
And then you have x plus 1.
Exactly, 28x. That is a GCF, right? Okay.
Yeah.
GCF here happens to be 28x. So, and then when I do the factoring, I get x plus 1. Like that, right? You see now, of course, now I see now plenty of stuff to factor, to cross out. I have 32 and 28. What can I cross out? How I can reduce them with what? 32 over 28. By?
Oh, do it like that.
Yeah, by 4, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have 8 and 7.
And 8 and 7. And the x's, look at the x's. I have x squared divided by x. I can cross out the x, right? This x is gone. And this x squared, the 2 is gone. You have 1 left, right? 1 power left, okay? There's going to be 8x over 7 parentheses x plus 1. Okay? For the next one, as tempting as it is to cross out 42x, right? If I ask a question, who did cross out 42x? Can somebody tell me I did? If you cross out 42x, you don't have to hide, you have to say it. Yeah, I cross out 42x, okay? We don't do that. We don't cross out 42x because they are not common factors yet, okay? The only stuff we cross out are the common factors. We don't rush, we should do the factoring thing, okay? Now look at the numerator. What can you factor out on the numerator?
6x.
6x, thank you. And then we have what remains inside the parentheses?
2x minus 7.
2x minus 7, thank you. Now, obviously here, we assume now, since nobody is saying nothing, we assume everybody knows where the 6x come from, where the 2x minus 7 come from. We assume that. If you don't see where they come from, you have to say it right now, okay? So, and then over, what is the GCF at the bottom?
6x.
Also 6x, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now what you have left now?
5x minus 7.
5x minus 7, right? Now what can we cross out now?
The 6x.
The 6x. So we have 2x minus 7 over 5x minus 7, and that is it. That is our final answer here. We don't do no more crossings now. All right. So last one here, I have x minus 3. I can do nothing about it. But look now, at the bottom, what can we factor out first?
5.
5. It's 5 parentheses. What you have left?
X squared minus 9.
X squared minus 9, thank you. Do we stop factoring here or can we proceed?
You can still factor.
We can still factor. It's going to be x minus 3 over 5. How we factor x squared minus 3 now? X squared minus 9?
X plus 3, X minus 3.
X
Perfect
plus
square.
3, x minus 3. Thank you. See, and now, of course, we can cross out the x minus 3's. We get 1 over 5 times x plus 3. Okay. All right. So that is factoring. I'm simplifying. So now, if I ask you how to, what is x plus 5 divided by x plus 5?
1.
1. Thank you. What is x plus 5 divided by 5 plus x?
1.
It's still 1. Thank you. Because 5 plus x is the same as x plus 5, right? Isn't it? It's exactly the same. This is still 1. Okay, now look now. What is x minus 6 divided by 6 minus x? Can you simplify something? Or do we say these right here, they don't have nothing to do with one another, and then we cannot factor, we cannot do nothing? What do you think?
I thought it would be 1. It's not.
It is only 1 when they look exactly the same.
Okay.
Okay, so to get an idea, when we switch the order in the subtraction, right? In any subtraction, when we switch the order, what happens? Okay, let's give some random values for x. Let's give a random values for x just to explain what's going to happen. If I set x equal 10, right? How much is 10 minus 6?
4.
4. How much is 6 minus 10?
-4.
-4. What is 4 divided by -4?
-1.
-1, right? Okay. So when you flip the order in any subtraction, when we flip the order, we get 2 opposite numbers, right? Okay. You see, x minus 6 is the opposite of 6 minus x. Okay. Everybody agree with that? That, what is 5 minus 3? It's 2, right? What is 3 minus 5? -2. You see? What is 7? 7 minus 4 is 3, right? 4 minus 7 is -3. You see? So basically, x minus 6 is the opposite of 6 minus x, right? They are opposite. What happens when we divide 2 opposites? We get -1, right? Every time we divide 2 opposites, we get -1. So this is, when you cross out these 2, you have -1 left, okay? All right. We get -1 left. So now, when we say now, x plus 7 divided by x minus 7, can we simplify something here? What do you think?
No, I don't think so.
Exactly, and you are right, you are correct. There is nothing we can do with these two. X plus 7 divided by x minus 7, these two expressions are completely different, right? They are not opposite, they are not even close. I mean, you can try numbers, if x is 5, what is 5 plus 7? It's 12. 5 minus 7 is -2, you see? So if x is 20, 20 plus 7 is 27. 20 minus 7 is 13, right? You see, those two numbers, they have nothing to do. This is irreducible, right? We can do nothing about that. Okay, so basically, if you want to simplify, you have to do the factoring thing. If somebody want to simplify, they have to factor, right? You have to factor if you want to simplify. Okay, and this gave us a review of how to factor. Okay. Okay, so now after learning how to factor, the next stuff you're going to learn is how to do some operations. That is our next topic here. Multiplication and division. Multiplication and division of rational expressions. Okay, you see, when we were kids, okay, like, you know, elementary school, when we have stuff, when we have numbers, what is the first thing we learned to do with them? I don't think we learned to do the multiplication and division first, right? I think, you know, the kids, you know, in first grade or, you know, pre-K, I don't know, they first learn how to add, right? You know, we learn how to add, how to subtract, and then we learn how to multiply, how to divide, okay? But only with fractions. We learn how to add, and we learn how to multiply and divide first, right? Can somebody tell me what is the reason of that? Why we don't learn? Why we don't try to add first? Why we jump directly to the multiplication? Can somebody tell me why?
Because with fractions, switched around.
Because with fractions, exactly, with fractions, you know,
Multiply, you're adding.
multiplying and dividing is easier than adding, okay? Only with fractions, multiplying fractions and dividing fractions is easier than addition. And we all know why. You see, when you multiply fractions, do you remember what we used to do? If you have, like, you know, 3/7 multiplied by 5/4, everybody remember what we used to do? How we used to do that?
Cross multiply.
We cross multiply. You see, this is even too much. We even don't cross multiply. We multiply right across. We multiply the numerator to the numerator, and we multiply the denominator to the denominator, right? This is how simple multiplying fraction is. We multiply right across. We multiply this one by this one, and we multiply this one by this one, right? That's it. We don't try to do the LCD, you know, the least common denominator. We don't try to do none of that, right? This is what, 15/28. Okay. This is how we used to do it. If you have, like, you know, 9/5 multiplied by 6. If you have a fraction that is multiplied by a number, we remember what you used to do? We do the same, right?
Put a 1 under the 6.
Exactly, we do the 1 under the 6 to make it more clear. But then after that, we don't do no GCF. See, I mean, we don't do no LCD. There is no least common denominator. We don't need that, right? We don't need to do LCD, none of that. So that is 6/1. And then we just multiply right across, you see? 9 times 6 is 54, divided by 5 times 5, that's it. This is how we used to do, how we used to multiply fractions, okay? So we don't overdo it, do not overdo it. When you multiply fractions, don't overdo it, right? So 8x squared over 9 times 12 over 4. Okay, look, you have to do this one right here. Okay, so let me even put 4 here. I'm sorry. Let me change the numbers a little. I'm sorry, let me change the numbers a little bit. Yeah, I want to, I want to highlight something. Okay, so I'm sorry to change the numbers. 8x squared over 9 times 18 over 4, right? So we know that we have to multiply right across, right? Okay. But there is something. Before we do the multiplication, can we actually simplify?
Yeah,
Let's make it easier. You see? Yes, we can, right?
multiplication, don't you cross out the 9? That's 1, and it goes into 18 2 times, so that's a 2.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Nora. You see, that is very warranted. Okay, we like to do that because look, if I know I have to multiply 18 by 8, if I don't have a calculator, I have to spend some time doing it, right? Okay, and then so before we do that, so we always encourage simplify first, if possible, before multiplying, right? If possible. Exactly what you told me. You see here, I can go ahead, I can say, okay, 18 and 9, they cross out right here. This is 2 left, this is 1 left, right? 8 here and 4 here, they cross out. This is 1 left and this is 2 left. You see? That makes it very, very easy. It's going to be 2x squared over 1 times 2 over 1, right? Now, is it easier to multiply now? It's easier to multiply. We get 4x squared over 1, right? So think about it. Before we do any multiplications, if it is possible to simplify, do it, right? Okay, before we do any multiplications, if it is possible to simplify, we go ahead and we simplify. Okay, I give you these 2 products right here. Meanwhile, you can write your name, for the attendance, please. All right. The first one, before we do any multiplication, can we cross out something?
Yes, you can cross out both 5s and they equate to 1. Then you can cross out the 4 and 6, and then it's 2 and 3.
You can cross out the 5s right here, and then here this is 3, this is 2, right? So we get x squared divided by 2 times 3 over 1, right? So we get x squared, 3x squared, and then we multiply 3x squared over 2. See? And then, the one after that also, I think we have a lot of stuff you can cross out, right? You can cross out the m minus 6's, right? We can cross out the 7m minus 5's right here. And we can cross out even the 7's, you see? So what you have left at the top, 5m. At the bottom, everybody's gone is over 1, right? Which is 5m. Okay? So these are the very, very first examples, okay? So the factoring is not really an issue. But in the next examples, right here, so we're going to do some factoring first, and then we're going to do some all right, so let me see. All right. So here for the second one, you can view it as over 1. You see? Obviously here, what you're going to do is factor if possible. And second, simplify. You want to try to factor first, if you can, and then see what you can simplify. All right, so you see, it's about factoring, right? This is about factoring.
Yeah, you can factor.
Yeah, go ahead. So the first one here, the n-7, the first n-7, of course, we don't have to do nothing with it, right? Okay, what can you factor out? The first denominator, this one right here. What can you factor out?
You can factor out a 6.
6, right? A 6 parentheses, n minus what?
N minus 2.
N minus 2, thank you. And here, the next numerator, what can you factor out here?
The same thing.
The 6. And here, what you get instead?
That's 2 minus n.
That's a 2 minus n, thank you. And here, this denominator right here, this one factors out right like this, right? It's gonna be
n minus 6 and n minus 7.
n minus 6, n minus 7. Okay? And now we see, if we see anything similar, top and bottom, it doesn't matter if they are on the same fraction or if they are not on the same fraction, it doesn't matter, right? Top and bottom, okay? For instance, I see n minus 7 here, I see n minus 7 here, they're gone, right? I see 6 here, I see 6 here, they're gone, right? Is that it? Is that it?
I feel like we would be able to do something with the n minus 2 and 2 minus n if they weren't switched.
Exactly. Look at these examples right here. Look at this. X minus 6 divided by 6 minus x. What we did? What we said?
-1.
-1, right? Everybody see that? We said they are opposite because they are opposite. So n minus 2 and 2 minus n happen to be opposites, right? They're not equal, but they are opposite. So every time we cross out two opposites, what we have left?
-1.
-1, right?
So we would just end up with -1 over n minus 6.
-1 over n minus 6. Okay? If they were exactly the same, it would be 1. But since they are not exactly the same and they happen to be opposite, it is -1 left, right? Okay, so look, b plus 2 over this one. Obviously, the b plus 2 is nothing we can do with that. It's b plus 2. But this one right here, how we factor this one? 40b squared minus 24b. How you factor that one? Or can we even factor?
To put out an 8. 8b.
8b, thank you. The GCF is 8b. It's going to be 5b minus 3 times 5b minus 3 over 1, right? You see, what can we cross out?
5b minus 3.
5b minus 3 cross out, so we get b plus 2 over 8b. Okay? Again, this has a great deal of factoring, okay? Factoring, etc. So, do you remember, and then we're gonna close out here, but just to say, do you remember how we used to do with the division? When you say A over B divided by C over D, do you remember what was the formula? Somebody? When we divide two fractions, what happens?
Multiply by the reciprocal?
Exactly. We multiply, it becomes a multiplication, by the reciprocal. You see, it becomes a multiplication by the reciprocal of the second one, D over C, right? Okay. A division becomes a multiplication when we flip the second one, right? Okay, that is the formula. It's going to be AD over BC. That is a formula. A division becomes, for instance, if we say 3 over, 5 divided by 4 over, 15, okay? How we do that, it becomes, so we don't try to simplify, we don't try to do nothing until we write it as a multiplication, right? Don't try to simplify now, okay? So this becomes 3 over 5, multiplied by what?
Wait, you said you can't cross out the 1, the 3 and the 15, 1 over 5. You don't do that yet?
Yes, that would be a mistake. So we don't do that until, because the division is confusing. So we prefer not to work with it. We have to write it as a multiplication, okay, which is less confusing, okay? So always write your division as a multiplication first. It's 3 over 5 times what?
15 over 4.
Times 15 over 4. You flip this one right here, okay? When you flip it over, the division becomes a multiplication, right? You see, now you can go ahead and do some simplification. You see now what's going to simplify? Now it's not the 3 you can simplify, right? What you can simplify now is the 5s, you see? That is why we don't try to simplify until we write as a multiplication. Go 9 over 4. All right. So we're going to stop right here for today. And next week, we're going to proceed next week. So keep in mind the test 1, always look at the calendar, right? When was the test 1? You see, if nothing happens, the test 1 will be around October 5th, right? So, and then I will post a review sheet on Brightspace, right? A review sheet. So I will post probably a week before the test, about a week before the test, a review sheet, okay? You're gonna take the review sheet and you're gonna try to do all the problems by yourself. If you know how to do all of them by yourself, you should be okay for the test, okay? And
Was
the
that
test,
100 points?
the quiz?
Mm-hmm. I said it was 100 points.
Yeah, I mean, the quiz, your grades will be on 100, okay? But it does not count 100 points on the total grade, on the total, the total class. No, it counts only 5%, okay?
Oh.
But when I grade here, your grade will be 95, 100%, something. It's gonna be like over 100 points, okay? When I grade, but it does count only 5%. Okay, I was saying, I will post the review sheet on Blackboard probably 1 week before the test. You go to the review sheet, you try to do all the problem by yourself until you know how to do them. If you know how to do them, you should be okay for the test. All right? All right, everybody. You have a good rest of your week, and do not hesitate. If you need me, you always can email me, right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
When are your office hours?
Yeah, my office hours is Monday, Wednesday, 10 to 12. But outside my office hours, you always can email me. You always can write through, to the Google Voice. I will answer to your questions. And if I happen, if you need help, and then I happen to have some time, we can connect on Zoom. I will help you, right? Outside my office hours, you have just to establish the communication. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So
Okay.
quiz 1 is, I just saw it. It's due tonight.
The The quiz. Yeah, I mean, you Elijah. So you are not in this. Are you in this class? You are not in this class, right?
I'm sorry.
You are not in this class. You always come early.
Oh.
This is always 3 class. You are in 163 class. You know, you are in my. You are in the next class. You see.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know.
But, you know, you were answering the questions. You know. I don't want to say nothing. I don't want to say nothing. But if you took over the whole class, then I would say something. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Our class will start like within the next 15 minutes. Okay.
Oh, okay, no problem. I just was checking my class schedule and it says this class that I have with you starts at 12:15. So I was like, oh, I gotta come early, you know?
All right. All right, everybody. Have a
Did
good
you
week.
see that I had texted you?
Yeah. I saw it. I saw it. Yep.
Okay.
I saw it.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm sorry, you know, for the technical difficulties, but you know, you sent them to me. I got it. Okay.
I had a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I seen the quiz. I read it wrong and I thought it was due at midnight. And it said 12 p.m. Is there any way to make that up?
You have them right now? You have the quiz with you right now?
Yeah, I have it pulled up. It just wouldn't let me start it because I read it as midnight. That was my fault.
Yeah, okay. So let me you see, that is the first quiz. So you know, all right. Okay. So you have it pulled out right now?
Yeah, I have it up on my laptop.
Okay, so go ahead, do it, and then send it to me within the next 30 minutes. Okay, send it to my email. Okay.
It won't let me open it because it's closed. Like I have no way to open it.
So write me your email here. I'm gonna send it to you. But you know, next time you have really to look at the due date. Okay.
Okay.
So write your email on the chat. I'm gonna send it to you, and then 30 minutes after you get the email, you have to send it back to me. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. Write your name on the chat here.